All right, everybody. It is finally time for the cast assessment for Hypnotic Big Brother Season 4 YouTube recommended. If you are watching this, that means the season is over. It is completed. We have a winner and all that fun stuff. But we are currently recording this the day before the start of the game. So we have no idea what is going to happen. We're just going to see what the vibes are with this cast and see what we think will come of each of our cast members. Um, and this should be a good time. I'm Alex, here, of course, with my co hosts, Heather, Liz, and Jacob, and we're going to have a good time.
Why was I last, Alex?
Oh,
Because that's how you are on my screen.
Yeah, but like Liz is like the most like recent inductee. Why wasn't she last? Huh?
I
Sorry,
should
sorry,
laugh.
sorry.
No,
I'm
no, 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 no. It's too fucking late. Put the POC last again.
sorry. I'm here with my co-hosts, Liz, Heather, and Jacob. All right, all
Oh,
right.
so you shove it down the bi girl
I,
further down
man,
on Pride Month.
I can't believe
we're like
Alex is
we're like a
homophobic.
minute and a half into this. It's gonna be a good time.
I like how y'all are doing this. I'm just trying to edit a photo.
And
It's so real. All right.
anyway, uh, who do we have first?
We have Caitlyn first.
Ooh, okay. Has anyone played with Caitlyn before?
I have played with Caitlyn. That's we played Bodo together. We played Challenge. Um, Caitlyn, sweet lady. Could do no. I'm saying lady like she's like ancient, but she's just like doing great. No, but she's a sweetheart. She's a very nice person. She likes to read. She likes to sing. She's very huge into art. We bonded a lot over Bodo. Was someone who was kind of constantly being targeted as one of the easier beats. I guess people were saying like an elimination challenge. No one really feared Caitlyn for her physical prowess, and she had to leave due to medical emergency.
Okay.
There's when we did her interview, that there are some concerns. Liz did the interview for Caitlyn, and
Yeah.
very concise answers, very one-worded responses. Like Liz said more, trying to like give reasons for Kate, like to elaborate on Caitlyn's points, and just no disrespect. People are busy, they got their lives, they got stuff got going on, but that does raise a concern for me. That when I ask, are you strongest socially, strategically, physically? And you say socially, you only say socially, and you don't say anything else to elaborate on this point. That I'm just like, if you're this concise in an interview, like, I'm not HOH, I'm not going to put you up, we're not talking game, will she continue to be this concise and short with her responses in the game? I don't know, but
Well,
y'all
here's
have y'all thoughts.
here's what I'm thinking. Seeing people before that we like consider as like, oh, maybe they like um won't connect with the cast as well, but then still those people just tend to slide under the radar and get further in the game. And I feel like Caitlyn has the opportunity to do that, and I wouldn't be surprised if she slips by the first few weeks doing that strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the interview because we were at a buffet when
Yeah, we were.
the interview was going on. I did like some of her answers when she was discussing things. I did hear a few like things like with her being a hero, which I can see that more so in that aspect. I completely forgot that my camera's on too because I run the Zoom and I was looking over yours as if I was. Um,
You're doing great, Heather.
she did say that because I know it's a little worrisome with like the activity, but I think that she is going to show out because one, she was able to get all her shit in on time, and not even just on time, ahead of time because she's on top of shit, and we appreciate that. Um, she also doesn't like inactive players.
I was gonna say that too.
So
Yeah.
I do feel like she will be more active once she's actually playing the game and once she does get into uh, everything that's going on, you know?
Yeah, it's the you gotta be quiet before the game so you can be louder during the game
Yeah,
strategy.
and to her credit, I do recall her mentioning like, "Oh, I made final two in a game before on Facebook, and it was very difficult because I couldn't win comps." And of course, like the lack of like physical prowess may be very concerning if there's someone in the end game you really want to go, but the opportunity never presents itself because they just keep winning challenges.
Hmm.
But I do think it is very impressive that she was able to make it to final two under those circumstances where it wasn't like a situation where she was winning out. It was her social grace or maybe other people being bigger targets in front of her
Well, and
too.
also
Yeah.
and also we have some things coming this season that could, in the right context, be beneficial to those who aren't as good at winning comps. So maybe. Liz, you did her interview. Any other thoughts?
Um, just that I definitely agree she was really concise. She seemed a little bit like closed off, which I know can be tough, especially early in the game, depending on how active everyone is and how open everyone else is in the game. But I could also see it working to her advantage, a lot. Early in the game, people are really dying to make connections quickly. And if she can connect with people without giving too much away, I could see that really working to her advantage, socially speaking, especially if she is trying to work, you know, perhaps without winning a ton of comps, which who knows? She could like surprise us and be a comp beast this time. We have no idea. Unfortunately, I have no idea based on her interview either. But you know what? That means that I'm excited to see what happens next with her.
Heck yeah.
I sound like a sports commentator. Is that okay?
Sure, why not?
Okay, cool.
Really excited to see how the team does this year.
Yeah, that's how I sound.
All right. Think we're good to move on.
To our next person,
Yeah.
Caleb. Why are we clapping?
I'm clapping because I am picking Caleb as my preseason.
Damn it!
Sorry, I said it first.
No, that's bullshit. No.
Well, we'll see who gets Caleb in the draft. No, but I forgot who did. Did I do Caleb's interview?
I didn't do Caleb's interview. I think it was
Okay, then
you,
I might have done. Then I might have done Caleb's interview. I just remember Caleb having like a very infectious personality in the sense of like you enjoy a call with them, and then at the same time afterwards, like you just implicitly trust them. But also, I could very much see Caleb just lying to someone's face and selling it off in such a way that that they'll just fully believe it. And we've had winners like that. Shout out Morgan, who played that kind of game, and I feel like Caleb could play that kind of game as well and come away with the win. That's my opinion.
Darn you.
I'm
I don't
sorry.
know if anyone else would like to speak before I also harp on why Caleb's my winner pick too.
Well,
Or,
okay, I'll guess because I know nothing about Caleb. Because I'm gonna be honest, I haven't like gone through a lot of like old interview videos and like checking in on those. So what I have to go off of, other than the ones that I've seen, which I will say for the next person, I did not write things down. So if anybody has
Great.
questions about the next person, I will let you know from what I
We'll rely on you for
talk
that.
to them.
Yeah.
But with this one, you mentioned having that infectious personality. I definitely get that just even by text, like from like the intros and like trying to like get the stuff in. Like Caleb's kind of been like very on that. I'm being very logical about this, being like they got their shit in, so I like them.
Nice.
And so I think that it's clear to see that there is that kind of personality that I think people will gravitate towards. And with, I feel like we have a lot of people saying they're social based on this cast. I feel, so socially, I feel like if you are someone that people gravitate towards, you're kind of gonna be set just based on like the cast that we have, which we will get to that.
Yeah, I agree. Liz, do you want to say things before Jacob says a lot of things.
Well, yeah, lots of things.
I don't have any thoughts, honestly. I'm flying blind, and I'm curious to see what Jacob has to say.
All right, Jacob, take it away.
Okay, so here's why Caleb's my winner pick, not Alex's. Fuck you, Alex. Fucking
Wow.
unoriginal hag. Because before this call, I said, how early in this cast assessment is your winner pick? Alex said pretty early. I was like, that motherfucker has the same winner pick as me. But,
Again, we'll
'cause
see
the-
who gets Caleb in the draft.
it's gonna be me. So, I recruited him to play. I played 1984 with him. All yonder. Was very close with Caleb. Caleb was someone who I was planning on taking to the final two. In that game, loved Caleb. I do agree with the notes on his infectious personality, but that is not the although that is a reason, that is not the reason why I picked him. Because there are a couple people on this cast I don't know how they play. There's two I straight up just don't know who they are. Three, I guess, and then a friend of mine I recruited who's never played a game before. But one answer sticks out to Caleb that I think every other person I know on this cast will struggle with at some point. For like talking about the social game, he said, "I know how people view me," and that's critical. I think positioning is very important, but understanding your perception, playing into that, like if someone you're talking to thinks you're a goat, continue to play into that. Continue to pretend to be passive. Act as though that you have no active participation in a blindside that's coming up. I do think Caleb is able to really use that skill. I think every other person I know to some degree either struggles with misreading the dynamics of the game, misreading how close their number one ally is really to them, how loyal they are to them, or how they may be received, or how well certain conversations go. I think Caleb has a good sense of that. And in a cast that, and we'll go to the rest of the people here, I think it's a very bombastic. I think that's the best word I can use. I think there's going to be a lot of mini rivalries all scattered throughout. And I think Caleb will be able to kind of be not that I don't know if the calming force is the right word, but kind of being the one guy that like no one has anything mean to say about. It's like, oh, Caleb's just chilling, you know, like to other people's admission. So
That's
yeah,
interesting because I was envisioning Caleb as like the pot stirrer,
right, maybe.
like the person not involved in the drama but responsible for starting it.
Yeah,
Which
his
is-
responses kind of point towards like a pot stirring angle.
Yeah.
Also, I see that he lied about meeting the Jonas Brothers. I have met the Jonas Brothers. I just thought I would mention that.
Does that play into your thoughts on Caleb's game, or did
Not
you
that
just
in
want-
particular. I just got excited.
Okay,
Like,
cool.
wait a-
See
I
if they deceived me during 2 truths and a lie, that means you could deceive and lie in the game. Big mistake.
that's true.
Big
You're
mistake.
doing the Q.
That
You're
they
doing the
they
Q.
paint
Big
themselves
mistake.
like a hero with like a villainous edge. I'm curious to see how that works. I think that'll be really cool. Depending on like how much of each they are. You know, like what like percent hero, what percent villain.
I think what has been like a somewhat common thing is that with a few exceptions, the people that I self-identify as villains in our assessments
Yeah.
tend to flame out a little early, but the heroes with villainous tendencies will go far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do also want to say that, I think it's kind of funny how you compared Caleb to Morgan
Mm-hmm.
when you were discussing your stuff, and then also are saying that like you feel like they might be like the shit star, like they
Yeah.
like get everything riled up, and I feel like that's also Morgan.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can see that like is why like maybe you guys are seeing that winner pick. I don't know Caleb. I'm kind of in the same boat as Liz in this situation where
Yeah.
I'm flying blind actually with quite a few of these people.
Mhm.
So
It's him and someone else later down on the list. There's someone who I really want to root for, but I don't know how realistic they are as a winner pick. But there's someone else I'm like, if not Caleb,
Yeah.
I could see this person taking the
Well,
job.
we'll see how.
But speaking of C, we're not done with the C names yet because
We
we
got
got
too many C names on this
we got-
cast. But
we're
we got
still not
Chris
done after this.
we got our second Chris.
in a row.
Yo.
So
Yeah.
Chris is someone who I would love to say that they're my winner pick, but I feel like I can't because they have told me that this would be their 4th game that they've ever played, like long-term game, whatever. And they've won 2 of their previous 3.
Wow.
That
And
it really is our second Chris in a
It's
row. Isn't that
Chris's.
what Chris Hawker's stats are?
That's
Yeah,
what,
well,
that's what
Chris-
Chris's stack. This is
He'd only played one game before this one, I think, and won it. Or our season, and then he jumped in for Hypnotic.
Well, I think Chris Ocker, I thought he said he only
won one. He only played one
Big
Brother.
Brother game.
And won.
Yeah, and
that
he
one.
won.
Got it.
Driver, he'd played a few and had not won, but
Has-
Big Brother specifically.
Has
yeah.
this Chris played any Big Brother games?
No, and
Okay.
that was something that like he
Oh.
mentioned. He's like, for every like one or every like 10 Survivor games, there's like one Big Brother game, and so this has kind of been something that he's kind of looked into, like wanting to like play a Big Brother game. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, just played Distortion,
Yes.
actually with Chris, and he said that the one thing he wants to do is beat Chris's placement.
Don't we all?
And
Don't we all?
I mentioned, I'm like, well, Chris was my favorite player last season, so gotta see how you work out. And I will say that interview was so lovely.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that some of the answers, like, in my opinion, like certain ones like copped out, just because I know with the like hero versus villain, it was like not a direct answer. It was kind of just like, I can be a messy kind of hero. Like I wouldn't be like that, but apparently like the 2 games that he did end up winning, or at least getting to the end 2, because I can't remember if he won 2 or he got to the final 2 in both.
Mm-hmm.
Because I forgot to write things down. So he's mentioned like that kind of like ambivalence, or like between hero and villain. Said he was a hero the first 2 times, and then when he played Distortion, he tried being a little more villainous, did not get far. But it can be messy when need be. Seems like a very loyal player to me. Like, says that they kind of stick with people and are very like just a very loyal person. The main thing is like, and I don't know how much he's going to be open about winning previous games, and as much as I don't like when people use previous games as like ammunition to gun for someone in a certain game, I feel like if Chris is open about like playing 3 games prior and quite literally getting to the end and winning the other ones, I feel like that can make them an early target. But if they're able to kind of hold that close to their chest, and depending on how many people do know Chris, I feel like based on like the interview, I think it was a really good environment, so I feel like he could essentially go far.
Yeah, just a little bit of the interview I caught, like at the very end of just like casual chatting, was very, very lovely. So
I do know that one of the hosts of Distortion is on this cast, and I mean, if we want to count After Show too, there's also another person who technically may have gauged a little bit of what Chris's strategy was like in there. So I don't know if like I would assume he would have propped this up in interviews for Distortion as well. So that's definitely at least information that is accessible if he chooses to keep this secret. I'm really upset I had to miss that interview. I forgot why. I think it was work. I don't know if it was work, but Seb was begging me, please get Chris V to apply. One of the favorite people he's ever hosted, and he was pre-merge. So really, that really shows to a testament of, you know, his personality, how just well he's able to, how active he was, and how, I guess, inadvertently maybe screwed over he was. I'm not entirely sure about what caused his elimination in Distortion. This is one of the people who I don't really know, and I only knew due to the fact that he was playing Distortion at the time. It seems Seb had very high praises of him as a player, but he, like Heather just said, like this should be his first Big Brother game, and there's a couple other people here who either this is their first Big Brother game period, or there's maybe second or third. There's a handful of novices here to the Big Brother format, so I think it's going to be very interesting to see how Chris Like if Chris picks up a specific strategy for Big Brother, or he's just gonna just do what he usually does when he plays these games, you know?
But if he comes in with the knowledge of like, gotta talk to people,
Yeah.
and he gets on a call with them, I think it'll be fine. Yeah. Okay.
Liz.
I missed the interview. I don't know this person, and for some reason, their sheet, as it's appearing to me in Google Sheets, is blank for their interview notes.
Yeah,
So
what do I?
Sorry.
it's
Okay, well,
okay.
That one job ever.
Just based on physical appearance, Liz, what do you think?
Oh, what's their picture? I'm looking at you guys now. Good vibes. I like their hair.
Good vibes, good hair, and
This is
Oh.
like a voice. It's like the voice promo doing like the little finger thing.
Yeah.
No, guys, we roasted the Mies last season.
We can't roast their cast photo. Well, honestly, I just think
It-
I think he has a nice smile, man. I wish I had hair like that. I wanted to grow up my hair like Jesus,
my
but now it looks
gosh.
more like Moses.
Oh
But
my-
whatever. I
and
try.
moving on. Well, moving on from the peace sign, we go to our next player, which is
The opposite of peace.
I forgot that's the one that I said would be good for Cody.
Okay, so all right, so I just
Does Cody have a sheet here?
No,
No,
I
because
don't.
we didn't do it. We couldn't do an interview for Cody. Cody was.
All right, but
one of the
I
last
recently
people.
played Power Grab with Cody. Unfortunately, we were never even close to working together. But more of my interaction with Cody happened like after the season, I think, because like during the game, I was thinking like, oh, this guy's like not really talking to me much, like he's not really like a social player, blah 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 blah. Come to realize after the game, it was like, no, he very much was. It just like because I wasn't in his like main alliance, I wasn't really, you know, directly like I wasn't really given his full attention. I think that might just be how I view it, which is like completely wrong from how he views it, but that's just how it came across. But even so, after the game and like once we were both in the jury chat together, our conversations went lovely, and in Power Grab he did make it to third place, and would have, if I understand correctly, would have won the game if he made it to the end, and that's all the confidence I need in him to make it far. So
Yeah, like if you do good in Power Grab, there was no competitions, strictly social, rapid fire. There's an elimination pretty much every day, aside from like the beginning one and like a hiatus day in the middle of it. Like that's really it.
yeah,
So for Cody to have made it as far as he did, running the risk of taking a duo to final three, in which he wins the quiz, he wins the game. Because Jackie mentioned this too. It's like, oh, Cody's 1000% getting my vote if he gets there.
yeah,
You know, so I heard very high praises of Cody, so reached out to him, tried to play the game. I wanted someone from this most recent season of Power Grab. You know, they just get the itch. You just got out of the game. You're still fresh.
yeah.
You're still kind of in game mode, yet you haven't completely reacclimated yourself to living a normal life. And so
And you
we were
have
able
the
to
people,
For
and you have the
society.
peop- and you have the people like in the beginning of Big Brother games who are like, ugh, this is so boring. The game's moving so slow. And like you were just saying, Power Grab's like someone's getting out every single day in a
Yeah.
row. I feel like that's gonna be Cody, and that's not even like to disrespect. That's his way of saying like Cody's mind is probably gonna move faster than the game will go.
like I think you'll be more prepared. Yeah, like
Yeah.
like even like when we approached him, like we were giving him like all the context he would need when the game starts, how long the game may last for, what type of
Yeah.
format or whatever. It was like, just fuck it. My boyfriend could be mad. So what? It's just kind of just went for it.
Yeah.
I don't know Cody either. Cody seems very intelligent from like the
Oh yeah.
handful of times I have been on Power Grab Bag, like watching the elimination ceremonies and kind of snooping on their answers. Cody seems like
I
a good
could-
player.
I could very much see Cody being like an underrated comp beast, which by the way, we had a Chris last season. We have a Chris.
Cody.
We had a Cody last season. We
You're
have a Cody
stealing
this
my
season.
Yo!
stuff. I haven't gotten to speak yet.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Wow.
I'm so
I
s-
was going to talk about
But we
that.
don't have a Liz this season.
Editor, cut me out. I'm the editor.
Yeah, but I was gonna bring up that there's a Chris and there is a Cody, and then there's also someone else with
Oh
the
my
same
God,
name
there
as
is a
someone
Chris
from
and a
last
Cody.
season. And
Whoa.
you I think it would be really funny if Chris and Cody got paired up and became duo of the season, and so then we have 2 seasons in a row where there's a duo of the season.
That's just
Wait,
Chris
were
and
they duo
Cody.
of the season? I can't remember.
No, it was Benji and Morgan. There's
That
no
makes sense.
Benji or
I think
Morgan
they
on
were
this
They
season.
got. I think they
They
got.
were definitely a runner-up. Yeah,
Because
Yeah.
I think because they were more of a trio with Liz than they were a duo.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I think that's why we.
That being said, I could definitely see them as a
That would be
duo.
fun.
Let's be honest. It was Chris and Cody as a duo, and then I was there as the mascot.
Yeah,
I
but
was
you,
there
yeah, but you,
for
yeah, but you
community
were close. You were closer with them, like than
Well, you were like
a
always
standard duo.
bound to go further if like the other side went out because they were going to target them.
This is too much to talk about last.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's
Whatever.
fair.
Cody, great. I have a lot of faith in him, although I've never played with him or I don't really know him all that well. Correct.
I have faith that he'll go far, and I have faith that he'll be an underrated comp beast.
Yeah, I also don't know Cody, and I will also say that while Alex was playing Power Grab and everything I heard about Cody, I kept thinking that it was the other Cody. And so only finding out recently once they applied, it's like, oh yeah, this is Power Grab Cody. And I was like, there's another Cody. So I'm like, okay, this is cool. So
Hey,
I think it'll be interesting to actually like learn who this person is.
Hey, Cody, if you're watching this, I'm sorry that half of this is just comparing you to season 3 Cody.
It's because I don't know.
It's high praise.
I mean, in Heather's defense, she's the only Heather I know. So like, I get it. It's like there's other Codys.
Excuse me, really, Cameron?
Oh.
So,
Anyway,
anyways, we're gonna move on to our next person. Unless Liz has
Yeah.
something to say about.
No, just we got the backwards baseball hat, the sunglasses, the gamecock, and the dual. So I'm excited.
Gamecock.
Noah, I totally missed Gamecock.
I
But
just caught that now. I picked this picture.
that's awesome.
I'm excited.
I only picked this picture from the game. Let's be real.
Oh
But,
god.
so we finally are done with the C names.
Mhm.
But here's
We
there's
got a
gonna
lot
be
of D names.
D names as well.
Starting
Like
with-
this is the back half of alphabetophobic. Like there's no one from the back half of the alphabet. Anyways, Danny.
Yay!
Yay, Danny.
Yay!
Danny, love Danny. Okay, so I played a game with Danny before, and our conversations were always funny because it was like, oh, we need to call, and then like never get around to it. But that was mainly because Danny like couldn't figure out how to get Discord on his phone, like
Oh.
so he couldn't talk to anyone during work. So he was always seen as like the AFK person. But then eventually, once they got Discord on their phone, like whole new ball game. At least I thought. And we had one call during the game, and it was very well, what's the like similar to what we said about Caleb. Danny I think has a very good way of like pulling you in and like sort of making you like feel comfortable around him. And I know in the game that we did before, comps weren't Danny's strong suit. But at the same time, one, he came very close in a lot of them, and two, like we said before, I think there's some certain elements of this season that would benefit those that aren't as good at comps. So combine that with like the good social game of like making you comfortable around him. I think Danny has a good chance to make some damage happen. And the profile pic's just giving side eye.
I mean, I'm today years old and I realize that he's actually looking like at us and not looking away.
The glasses.
Yeah, the glasses block it. So like I thought.
Oh no,
it was
I
just,
saw
like,
that. Yeah.
Looking like away.
Like-
Like no, you're.
No, but like once you see it, you can't unsee it.
I can't unsee
Yeah,
it.
the side eye.
Bombastic side eye. No. I never played a long-term game with Danny. However, I have played minis with him and have gotten somewhat acquainted with. I don't know if this is particularly like his circle per se, but I just keep seeing around these same people. So I'm very excited to see Danny play a long-term game. Because last time I have seen him play long-term, he was pretty inactive. It was long ago. This was Disney. This is before Alex, you even played Disney, you know?
Mhm.
So like Danny is someone whom I think Alex kind of took the words out of my mouth. He's this very charismatic person. Kind of like you just go into a call, he just kind of says, okay, what are we doing? And does so in a way where you leave the conversation thinking, damn, maybe Danny is good for my game. Like, is it really smart for me to be taking this guy out here? I do really think that he has the potential to go far. Because I had heard that Danny was on the more inactive side at the beginning of Deception, but kind of picked it up as the game went on. But considering that he presumably is not playing with that restriction, like I knew that there was some difficulty with like getting like a specific account into the server. So I
think he's fine now.
I hope he is
Yeah.
because
Well,
I love Danny.
We messaged him before we started recording, and he was at work, so
Yeah, so
it's fine there.
I have faith. I have faith in him to go far. Let's see.
I just realized this is the second time Jacob said bombastic. I'm sorry, I just had to point that out.
I told you that's the theme of the cast. It's
Bombastic.
Bombastic. Mr.
Bombastic
Bombastic.
side eye.
And the fantastic.
Like I've said earlier, I also don't know a lot of people in this cast, and so for this person, we also don't have interview questions.
Yeah.
as Well,
Yeah, what's up
so
with that?
I do not know him very much, other than from obviously things I've heard from
Me.
Yeah,
Game ranting.
pretty much. Like so from what I've heard is at least that they may not be the most social person, but also from what I've heard, there's thanks, Jake. So like, I mean, I've heard they're not like the most social person, but from what I have heard, there are definitely physical aspects and strategic aspects to Danny, which I think might be like the type of player that they are. And I feel like in this cast where I think there is a lot of social players, being that like strategic and physical person, I think might be able to kind of it can go both ways, because it's like, can this person seem a little bit more game body, or like are they going to be looked at as a threat with the physical side, or they'll just be seen as someone who can kind of like lead certain people, even with not being as social as maybe some of the other people in this cast.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm also there with Heather. I don't know this person, and we have no sheet on them, so I cannot read up. But I also have not heard much about this person either, so I'm flying blind. But saying that they're not social, when from what I've seen about a lot of the other interviews, everyone else is saying that they're very, very social. I
Well-
think that could be really cool.
Well, to be fair,
know.
I think the perception of like Danny being not social is because like they didn't have Discord
Mhm.
on the phone, but now they do. So maybe it'll.
That's fair, and it could shift. But
I'm
I
optimistic.
would almost like to see if they are more, physical leaning, just because I think that'd be a good variety to add in. You know what I mean? If everyone is leaning social, it's a very very, very, very talk heavy game, and that can be really fun, but can also sometimes get exhausting. And I would like to see someone kind of, stepping out front as a little bit of a more comp beastie player, if they can play it right. Like I could see them being kind of like quiet, but
I will say, in the game that we played, the perception kept shifting between if Danny was like a challenge beast or a challenge flop. But I'm pretty sure it's because Danny was throwing
those are two different
challenges.
things.
No, I'm pretty sure it's because Danny was like throwing challenges a lot. But the reason I'm
Yeah.
saying that is because like Danny would get like in last in a competition, and then
Mhm.
in the immediate next competition, second place, something like that.
Never let him know your next move, Danny.
Exactly.
Like
So,
also like
Going
to
back to the strategic
Danny's.
mindset.
Like Danny's like I know Danny asked me like when proposing playing this game, was like, will this be like very like call based? Like, well can I just text? Well, I get by just like texting. That's like more or less what he asked me. I said like technically, yeah. But like I'm not sure if this is a very call heavy cast. Like would they all like really like be scheduling calls like this, or they like they just be
I don't
texting
know.
people? I think we got like a pretty busy cast here to where I think it'll be fine. But in the event that that's not fine, and there's a lot of people scheduling calls, there's maybe some people who feel estranged from Danny
Yeah.
as a result. You know, I think
Well,
that helps.
yeah. Good to move on.
Yeah, we're good to move on.
Yeah.
We'll move on to our next applicant, who we do have a sheet for.
Yes.
Took us 4 people, but we're back on track. We got Dave.
Woo!
David.
Oh,
Woo.
David. Okay, so so I've played one game with David, and the experience was short, but it was basically along the lines of like I tried to blindside him, he ended up blindsiding me right back. And for some reason, the perception that I've always had of him was like villainous, you know, like we'll just like start drama just for the hell of it, stuff like that. And then when we had our call, I was like, oh wait, I totally I like totally misjudged. And like he said in his interview, between hero and villain, usually hero, but more recently a villain, used to not lie, but definitely now been known to lie. So maybe I don't know what my point is. I don't know what side of David we're gonna get in this game. Are we gonna get the like nice fun be around David, or are we gonna get the like gonna start the drama David? I don't really know.
Yeah.
But
'Cause-
I am excited that he is finally playing.
Yeah, I played Bodo with him as well with Caitlyn, and that David was more of the argumentative, kind of like combative David, because he kept being a candidate to go into elimination every round. So he didn't shy away from calling people out because like what did he have to lose? You know what I mean? Like he already had been thrown into an elimination before, barely dodged a bullet, and then is just now continuously being thrown in. And so I do think that that element of it is very interesting. I love David. You know, I got on a call with David, kind of like you. I'm like, damn, this guy's really cool. Not the vibe I was expecting, because I do remember him playing Heat Wave, very vividly, hearing a lot about that season specifically, and just like how David idled out Morrigan, but was taken out the round right afterwards, like his part in some other blindsides during that game, and kind of, in my opinion, being a very overtly villainous game, at least from the way that I perceived it. But again, I don't really know what we're going to be getting from Marvin. Because Marvin, why did I say
Oh.
Marvin? No,
Okay,
here's the thing.
that is actually
Okay.
really weird that you said Marvin, because I was like,
He reminds me of Marvin, like a little bit.
No.
No, he does.
sometimes I think they look similar, but I feel like they just have that like similar vibe with that, especially their cast
The
photos.
aesthetics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marvin wears
Honestly,
a Muppet shirt.
What?
I don't know who Marvin is. You all just said Marvin like I should know who this person is.
You know, Marvin.
Marvin. No, but
Season 1.
like Marvin, fucking damn it, this is David, right? Actually does give me some of those vibes. But I do think that I'm trying to look back to how Marvin did, and Marvin was the last pre-merge boot, but was actually well positioned. It was just kind of just like one blunder that kind of undid their game. And ironically, I do think that's a similar trajectory I see for David here. I think
Ooh.
we'll do pretty well the first couple weeks. I think we'll maybe say the wrong thing to the wrong person. I think this is going to be a cast of a lot of leakers. I think you're going to have a conversation. You're going to see a lot of people running to someone else, telling them exactly what they said, maybe spoiling a blind side, or maybe throwing somebody under the bus. I think David will be a casualty of that. And it's just going to be a matter of, you know, if he does play into the hero, you know, that he said that he did when he first came into the community, and kind of build some rapport, kind of gains him some credibility for being like open, honest, and confrontational, or whatever, like, and blunt about things. Yeah, I do think that could potentially be a saving grace, but I do think with his heel turn, I think he may be in trouble.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, as someone who has also played with David, and I feel like his downfall in that game was saying the wrong thing in front of the wrong person kind of situation. Like kind of what you explained, but a little different. But that's something that we're just not gonna go into. I think that I agree with that. I think that might be why I was also thinking with Marvin, just because I think that they could essentially be someone who plays hard, is very entertaining on our end. Like, because I remember, like, I mean, one of the most entertaining parts of season one, in my opinion. And then, will provide that kind of like fight and like entertainment value, but will damage themselves in the process of that. So I think that that's something that definitely can happen throughout. Let me pull up their interview. I think that's what I kind of get from them, and that.
Yeah, looking at their interview responses, I could totally see that. Yeah, I feel like I've seen at least a couple of people who said that they usually play a hero, but recently they've started to be a villain, which is interesting. All I got.
Also, watch David now win the season. We're saying, oh, he's gonna like do one wrong thing. That's it. No,
He'll just never do something wrong. That's the problem. David needs to play a perfect game and outrank Miner in the power rankings. That's
Oh,
it.
man.
That's all you need to do, man.
Dang. Oh,
Easy.
man. All right. Who do we got next?
We have again another D name. We have Dime.
Yo, the self-described personality hire of the cast.
I got it.
I love
And
their
honestly, I can't disagree. Yeah, one of the she said, personality hire of every group. We'll keep the house chat going. I'll be up 24/7. And honestly, I love it. I'm expecting just like house chats or house calls, just randomly. The Dime starts and everyone hops on for some reason. She's the one that's going to organize the group Jackbox games. Besides that, talk about the game. Okay, so another social player. I'm trying to remember if I did. Who did Dime's interview?
I did her interview.
Okay, is Dime is a social player, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I could definitely see her being the one that like somehow just gets in like an alliance with like everyone for some reason, and then like maybe fully trusts like one person.
I could see that just looking at the responses.
I could see her dictating like people's noms if it gets to that point. Just be like, hey, you should put these people up.
I really want to see Dime running this game just at a glance. I know I wasn't present for their to sit in on their interview, but just reading through the responses, I really want to see them running this game. I think that'd be fun. I think they do a good job.
Especially because for one of our questions, we say, who's your least favorite type of player to play with or work with? And her answer was someone who aligns with everybody, which is funny because I think that she would align with everybody, but like in a good way.
Yeah, I think everyone would want to align with her. I think a lot of people are going to want to get in good with Dime, have great conversations, and kind of leave just like adoring Dime. I've hosted her in Kaleidoscope, and she was a very early boot, but I've gone on record to saying I think it was I get why she was booted, but I think it was a terrible move for the people from her OG tribe to just kind of like let her go in that situation. I was really looking forward to seeing Dime go far, just because like I just think she brings a lot of obviously the personality higher. You know, like I loved her interview, probably one of my favorite interviews ever, and I just think she just brings about this energy and this passion that I feel like is very rare to see in games. Someone with this much enthusiasm to play, to go out there and socialize, and talking about how Big Brother is really more her format than Survivor, and how that's actually going to enhance her social game, and how she can actually be more of herself in Big Brother, whereas Survivor it's kind of more rigid,
kind
of formulaic.
Also, she said And obviously said she's slowly learning that she has to flip on people before they flip on her.
Yeah.
You could
So
absolutely see that happening.
I could see two different trajectories. I could see her being like going through like a growth arc through Hypnotic. We will be a learning experience for Dime where she kind of slowly forms her own strategy and like really picks up and really gets to implement the idea of I need to flip on you before you flip on me, and I could see that you're going to flip on me. I see that I'm losing you and I gotta take you out. And maybe going very far into the end game, or my biggest fear and why I think is more likely, I think she will be overtly a social threat. Like I think everyone's gonna it's kind of like Cody, like not necessarily like Cody, because Cody was being perceived as a threat from all angles. Like strategically, he was a threat. Socially, he
Season
was a
3
threat.
Cody.
Season 3, Cody. You have to
Uh,
specify. But so many people not named Chris and Liz says this guy needs to get out. He's gonna win if he gets to the end. And this is like final 10 or final 11 where that people are saying this.
They
It's
kept
like
saying,
I do fear that
well,
concern of Dime being so obvious of a threat that it's gonna be very difficult for her to surmount. But
I don't know because like
that's what I
not to
think.
throw back to another season, but like Minor, I feel like shared a bit of a similar idea. Minor was winning all these comps, but he's also very social, and people just couldn't take Minor out. So I feel like my opinion is that Dime will fall into that category rather than the category
Maybe.
you're talking about.
I don't know. We'll see.
I like Dime. I think that she's gonna do really well. I think, and this is also getting ahead of ourselves. We have a lot of strong women on this cast. And
We love
so
to see
excited.
it.
We love to see it.
Like, as someone who's been in the org community for what 7 years at this point, like I always feel like the org community is dominated by a lot of men.
Men.
Saying with the two men in this call as well.
It's fine. I get it.
So like the fact that we have a lot of like women who I think that they can go very far in this game. I'm really excited for that. And I feel like Dime is going to be one of those strong women. Like, I mean, I'm not entirely sure how she is physically. Like, she didn't mention much about that, but I do kind of feel like if she's going to be able to kind of use that social game, because we do have quite a few like social based comps, and I feel like that could be like something that's more her forte than a lot of others. I think that I think she's gonna go far, and I can see her kind of like being my winner pick at the moment. But I can also see like certain things with other things. Preseason, I'm so far not set on my winner pick, but I think Dime is up there as of right now for me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Liz?
Yeah, just as a side note,
I like Dime.
Because you mentioned like compatibility before. I feel like every other season I've been able to pick at least like one person. I'm like, okay, yeah, I know they're gonna win comps. This season, I have no idea.
Oh, I have one, and that's like the other person I have as my potential winner.
Okay.
But, aside from that, but I do see the same thing. I'm like, who else is good at comps?
I think I know exactly who you're talking about, but we will get there.
We'll see. We'll see.
Oh, but speaking of there, I don't. I don't think they're next, but if they're next, that's amazing. Oh no, they're not. I was like, this is not who I was thinking about.
Gav also goes by
Gavliv.
And yeah, I guess Jacob, you know.
I'll go first. I played with Gavliv a couple of years ago in a game where me and Lyndon made the final two, and I just got chime that in right there just because I love Lyndon so much. I love you, Lyndon, if you're watching this. It was GGL Viper, and Gavliv kind of got swap screwed. Their swap tribe kept losing, and he got voted off in the position where he was doing great on the OG tribe. But there is one humongous concern that I have for Gav that I don't really think can be. I don't know how he can get over this hurdle. It's actually probably not what you guys may be talking about earlier, but I think it's his age. I think that there's not to say this is honestly a younger skewing cast than the past seasons. I would say, I think I did like the averages before because like I noticed there was a lot of people in like their younger 20s, like their late teens that were playing this game. And so I first was I felt a little bit better with that. And to be fair, he's not the only teenager on here, but I do think that there's a level of like lack of life experience that puts him at a disadvantage, like how well he's able to connect with certain people. Or like I won't say like Gavlev is particularly immature, but I do think that that may also bode poorly with his winning chances as someone who just doesn't garner that much respect. Like I think if someone like in their mid-20s was dominating the game socially, strategically, physically, then like you'd believe this. But like would you believe like if an 18-year-old is capable of doing all those things like this kid that like you can realistically be your son, like would you believe that? It would be harder to believe. So I do think that he props up, having this very charismatic and very magnetic personality. He used those words to really hype up his social game and said, ask any person who's hosted me. And even the one you saw me get pre-jury in, which is actually a very rare instance for him in
So,
Survivor.
well,
But we'll see.
my pushback on that, like the age thing,
Yeah.
is that just going through and I think getting this. In this cast, we have 5 people, including Gav, who are 22 or younger. So like college aged or younger.
Yeah.
So I feel like in another cast, yes, that would be a good point. But I feel like in this cast, where like you were saying before, the cast seems to be skewing younger than what we usually have in a game. I feel like in past seasons we've never had anyone under 22.
Yeah.
But in this case, I feel like it won't be the biggest drawback, especially because I think some of the quote unquote older people probably won't feel like disrespected by someone who's 18, like telling them like what to do.
By the youth.
By the youths of today.
These whippersnappers.
Youngs.
Oh my gosh. I just want to say the one thing that he said was between picking social, strategic, or physical. He said definitely a social butterfly. I don't shut up in any circumstance. Which I feel like is what we were talking about with David before.
Yeah.
But like maybe in this way it's like the opposite way of where we're saying David might like reveal something. Maybe Gav's like just want to talk to people, which like could endear them to people to just want to keep them around, which is like never a bad thing, especially in Big Brother game. My arms are coming through on Heather's camera as well. That was weird.
Wait, do it again.
Do it again.
Sorry. Okay.
But yeah, I think she's gonna do fine with everything, like at least as far as the like social and strategic way. They've mentioned that she can't do that kind of physical stuff, so she's not someone to rely on comps a lot, so or can't physically rely on comps. We do have a lot of comps that I think he can win as things kind of go on. There's going to definitely be some that I think aren't going to work out as much, but I don't know how much age will be an issue, and this could be from my own bias as well, since I started playing at 16. So like from my bias, I feel like sometimes, like especially with this cast, I think skewing younger, I think he'll fit in right away, like, and everything. So getting that kind of I don't have as much worry for the age aspect.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. Not a huge issue.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much their age will play into it. I think like looking at their responses, I just get the sense that they're either going to be like a really early boot or they're going to go super far. Like I don't know if there's really any in between from the vibes that I'm getting. Um like because they were talking about how, they play more of a hero, which I get. Strong moral compass and won't shy away from calling stuff out. But they're also kind of familiar with some of the traps of like, the late game. They talk about having brought a close ally to Final Two and it didn't go well for them. And now they know to kind of bring someone who played a similar game to them. So I think that kind of like late game strategy would be really helpful so long as they make it that far, because it's tough to kind of like I've made it to jury as a hero and also been like a really early boot as a hero, and there's like little, middle game going on. Yeah, I like their vibes. Cat ears.
We do
Like
love
selfishly, I want to see Gavlev go far. Like I remember them asking to play last season, but they were 17 at the time, and like I was like, at least like 18 or older, ideally for our cast. I think before it was like 21 or whatever. But like, so I'm really excited to see him play. We'll see how it pans out, but actually, I like Liz's assessment of like, we'll go very early or we'll go very far.
Yeah.
I prefer Gavlev to go very far, but I do think there's early boot potential due to maybe my concerns, but may also be due to just some limitations, make it so that people aren't like, well, we can't rely on him in a comp front, so
Mhm.
we can go.
Yeah, but you can see a certain scenario of like where the other way happens of like we don't need to worry about him in a
Yeah,
comp.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
We're
We're
getting
going
there.
on.
Who do we got next?
We have my winner pick from Spellbound season 3.
Yo.
But
Nice.
that's such a weird way to introduce him, but Jaewon. Love
I keep
Jaewon.
forgetting I wasn't on season 3.
You were season 2. Yeah, you were my winner pick in season 2 anyway, so you
I know I wasn't.
it was tough.
Oh my goodness. Okay, who wants to start?
I'll go last.
Oh, you're going last?
I'll go last.
Oh boy. Okay.
Burial.
Who did Jay's interview?
I'll
I
send you what I know, because like I don't know much about it. Is it J1 or is that how to pronounce it?
Well, he goes by Jay in game, but yeah, Jaewon. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Jay's fine then. Which we also have had a J before, so we have a lot of repeating names.
We're copying.
We're our big list that we make with the power rankings is going to be really confusing after this season. So I don't know much about him. I've seen him around, so like it's not like I haven't seen games that he is in. From what I have heard, a little bit more on the strategic side of things, which I think is needed in this game just because of how many people I feel like are going to be a lot more social than strategic or physical or anything like that. I haven't heard much about their physical prowess of anything. But I think that they are someone who can kind of like be that leader role and kind of navigate people that way. So whereas I don't think he's as much of a follower. So I feel like if there's going to be a situation like of an alliance of forming, Jay's kind of going to be at the center of that. And that can be a good thing or a bad thing, because it's kind of like, will he kind of be seen as the head of a snake, or will he be seen as kind of more hero? Which you did say anti-hero for the hero versus villain answer.
We love a good anti-hero.
We love a good anti-hero.
And the other thing that was interesting was because like I feel like we have a lot of players that say they're better socially rather than like physically or strategically. And Jay said strategically because he felt that like his mind is usually more strategic, which is cool, but that sometimes my social read is off. Which, if we're throwing Jay into a cast of social players, that could, in theory, cause some trouble. I feel like he might be able to hide behind the fact that it is a Big Brother format, not a Survivor format, where like in a Big Brother format, the like best way for you to get out is to get on the nerves of the HOH. So maybe if something goes wrong during a week and like something happens because of a bad social read, it won't really be like a death sentence because the HOH could, in theory, be on Jay's side. So I'm not really feeling like that's going to be too big of an issue, but it's something that I'm at least keeping in mind as something that could happen. But I am excited to see Jay play. I've seen Jay in other games before, but haven't gotten to watch him play in depth. So this is going to be fun to watch him from a hosting side. Yeah.
Yeah. I like
Jake-
him. Good
Jacob.
vibes.
Okay, J1, adore J1. I played with him in my second season. Well, technically both seasons of Kaleidoscope, but we don't talk about the first one I played because I died in that. Heather saw it. But no, I really I adore J1. Not even seconds after the night zero call of like formulating the rules, he immediately got into my PNs. We need to call now. I was like, okay, we'll see. He started playing the game from the get-go, and I respect that gusto, and that got me that made me trust him a lot and like want to work with him. So socially I felt really close with him. However, there's one issue that like I do see often in these games, admittedly two, but one bigger one. It's he's really good at playing from the bottom, but the problem is like for me to know that I have to see you in the bottom a lot. I kind of saw him in Spellbound very quickly end up on the bottom after the merge and never really be able to recover. I felt like he was kind of like skating by in a position where like if you get to the end, he had some decent win equity, but like nothing really due to his own actions saved him there. I know in Kaleidoscope, he played an aisle to save himself, but then was voted off the next round in a Mimi. We'll talk about another person who was in that season later who keeps citing this as why did y'all vote this guy? Whatever.
Yeah.
When his win equity wasn't all that great that season, it seemed like there was a lot of times where he did not get his way. And I am very concerned for him in that regard, but I do call back to when I hosted him in Spellbound, and this is why I had him as my winner pick there, although he's not my winner pick here, was that I think there's a lot of people who huge egos, who kind of wanted to be the one calling the shots, who kind of wanted to be the one strategically taking over. And Jay was smart enough to like lean back and kind of let them kind of feud, kind of let them fight. And they're gonna vent and complain about each other, but they're gonna vent to him about it. And he's gonna be reaffirming that they need to stick together, but just keep an eye on them in a way where I think a lot of people were leaving the pre-merge feeling really good with J1, which is why he was the last kind of like of the minority to have made it in that game. So, I'll have faith in Jay's potential, to kind of like find himself in a position where a lot of people are gunning for each other and they're not really looking at Jay as the biggest perpetrator here. But we do have a rival of his on here, so I do think that there's a good chance that that beef will carry into this game, and it may be between him and a very strong social player early on, and that does make me scared.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens.
I want to know who their enemy is.
You'll see. You'll see.
I know it's not a DNP, and then the other one.
Oh, are they coming? They're coming up later then.
They're coming up in a couple. We'll see.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see.
We have a couple J names too. So we have a lot of C, Ds, Js. We have a couple Ks in there.
Boring cast, boo. No.
Boo.
Liz, do
Too
you have
many
anything to say
names.
before we go on?
But speaking of boo, we're gonna actually
Wait,
flip that
wait,
thumb
Liz.
upside up and
Wait,
say
wait,
woo.
wait.
Oh,
Liz,
Woo.
do you have anything else?
Yeah.
Good vibes.
Woo.
no, nothing.
I'm fascinated by the anti-hero identification. I think that'll be
Yeah.
interesting, especially with a lot of like kind of morally neutral, effectively, for lack of a better term. Like no one's landing squarely on hero or villain so far. Everyone's kind of like leaning between them depending on the game. And I think that's really funny. So if you have an anti-hero in that situation, it'll be like a Batman scenario. And I
I
think
think
that's
people
fun.
will naturally fall into the places they're meant to.
Like,
Oh,
once
they
get
absolutely
there.
will. But if everyone enters the game not sure where they're going, and then we have an anti-hero coming through, I think that'll be fun. I could see the
Right.
leader role there.
Yeah, like which is accurate for him because we didn't want to give him hero, but it was like underdog. Like it was basically what he was.
Yeah.
Like in spite like very strong pre-merge, very adversarial post-merge. And so like I kind of like combined together into like, yeah, underdog of the season. Not really hero, not really leaning villain at all, but I do really think he is going to be the true neutral of this cast from like an alignment chart.
Okay.
There's going to be some heroes emerging, some villains emerging. Jay's going to kind of be that gray area. And I don't know if that betters his chances or worsens them. I don't know. I just think that's something of note to mention.
We
I
shall
just
see.
think it'll be neat.
And speaking of neat, Jen,
A Jen.
this is the person I was talking about. I was like,
They
oh
said-
well, the only person I know for fact that here is good at comms.
They said it could never happen.
Ow.
They said you'll never get Jen to play Hypnotic. But here we are. And I'm just so proud of this community YouTube reference.
And I also want to say, I think this is one Liz can actually say stuff on.
Yeah, I think.
Like that, like she actually has played a game.
Yeah. She played
yeah.
Club 33 with her. Yeah.
Because Liz has only played. Liz, you've only played BB Disney before, right?
And us.
Yeah,
And us.
those are my two.
So you-
How do you know
BB
Jen?
Disney, BB All Stars, and BB Disney All Stars, and then
Yeah.
Right, so you played with Jen.
people that I just don't recognize. I'm sorry.
Jen, no one BB All is
Oh, if she wasn't in my season 7, I was an early Boo Stars. Like
she was like the last of her alliance that was getting like decimated, and she comped her way to the end and like won the vote that way. And it's funny because that is literally the only time I've ever. Being said, she does great when playing from the top, and sorry, I'm just really excited that she's.
I mean, yeah, because I PM'd her and she said she was taking a break, and I don't know what happened, but randomly just one day she just PM'd me and said, "Oops, changed my mind. Guess I lied." And I was like, "Oh, she got invited to some other fucking. She's gonna play the fucking collective or some shit." No, she played our game. She chose us. Well, she may have chosen both, but she chose us. Yeah.
Love Collective.
Not the collective. No,
Anyway.
like there's someone now I really want on that they stole from me, and I'm still mad at them. So it's a fuck the collective, actually. But no, Jen, I'm really excited
Fuck
to see
those guys.
play this game. This is the other person who I have in contention as my winner pick. So if Alex does fucking steal Caleb from me, I'll be more than happy to fucking
Okay.
take Jen on my team. Obviously, if on the physical front, I feel really confident about her. But that's like her biggest pro is you gotta consider like what was her role in her alliance getting decimated? Like, was she particularly not trusted by a majority of her house guests? Like for
I
her
think
to
it's
have,
the-
because from what I
think-
remember,
I really don't know. I think it's just the way the numbers
played
worked
out. Like she faced a huge deficit. Like I guess like the whole friend Viver thing came up, but like I do recall one of those being Marcelo, who was out like at 16th place when there was 20 people there. So like she had to like fight from very early on in that game.
Oh yeah.
So like she like very early on, which like obviously very impressive that in a format where it's not just 6 people playing in veto and there's like a bunch of people getting nominated and you're very likely going to be in danger more often than not in this game. For her to have persevered and to make it to the end with a very strong opponent, mind you, who had a great grasp on the political and the social game, for her to be able to win that position is very impressive. But I do I look back at Minor, like we mentioned earlier, who also to a similar degree comped out for a good chunk of that game. But he also had the social grace, and with those comp wins, kind of leveraged them in a way to where a lot of people trusted him.
Yeah.
Like he left with like Morgan, Billy, Nick, Andrew wanting to work with him, Austin at least being cordial with him at least in early on in the game, and I
I was gonna say,
hope Jen can do that.
I was gonna say, I think the difference is that I think Jen might be a little better at like making people do things they might not do, in the sense that like they might not be in their best interest, but like Jen, from my experience, has a way of explaining things that um comes off very well and it makes sense to people, and they might not like think it through to the point where like, oh wait, this really benefits her more than it benefits me. Um, so I think if she's able to pull in like the comp ability from BB Disney, as well as like the social and strategic uh gameplay that I know she like already has, I think she's gonna be like a pretty formidable threat.
1000%.
Really quick, I just want to say, in her interview, one of the questions was, "What will you bring to Hypnotic that nobody else will?" And she said, "I'm a girl." Which I think is, considering this
If
cast,
only she knew.
yeah, I think it's really funny.
Little did she know.
Little did she know.
Yeah.
That's
So
it's.
oh, sorry.
I was just saying that the cast is actually technically 50-50 split.
Wow.
I feel like that never happens in orgs. I think
That's fascinating.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
This is the first time this ever happened in any game.
In
So like,
org
congrats,
history.
congrats to us. We really did it.
Yeah.
Well, obviously there's some non-binary people in there too, but like,
Yeah,
Just
that's-
valid.
History mini who we have 50%. No, she's doing that like good.
By the
thing
way, that was a great mini. Since this is getting released after that happens.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to watch it. I just can't play because it's on a day I can't do it.
Whoops.
Um.
Anyway,
But yes, so with Jen, because I feel like we do have quite a few newbies or people who haven't played many games before. And I know that this is like kind of going based off another game. She has created like a newbie army or like
yes.
before. Like she has a way around people, especially people who haven't been around the community as much, to get them to trust her rather than other people. And I think that in this cast, I mean, granted, we do have quite a few people who have, I think most people have played orgs, but there are definitely a few that have either only played one or two. I think there's someone here that has only done minis, or I might be wrong about that.
Someone, I forget who it is, but yeah.
And then like I mentioned, Chris earlier has only done 3, which actually she does know Chris because she was on Distortion Prod for the season.
Jen's gonna have the connections.
So
this season,
she'll have like a good mix of possibly being able to connect to those newer kind of players, as well as I think having connections to the people who have played games before, because I wouldn't be surprised if she's either had connection to them through either hosting or through actually playing with a lot of these people.
Yeah.
So I feel like Jen is probably going to be the most connected in this game. Do I think she will win based off of that? I feel like it's going to depend on whether someone is going to be willing to take her out. Because someone might need to take that shot, and I feel like that is something that could happen essentially. So I don't know, because I was also thinking with Jen as a winner pick possibly, but I don't know. I feel like someone's going to take a shot at her at some point. So I don't necessarily feel like with this cast it will be that, but I do feel like she will possibly be I feel like she can be like a Joanne in a way from last season where like everybody is kind of working with her.
Yeah.
And like
She did good.
Really big web of connections.
Yeah.
I will say though, to like the thing of like Jen being like the player, like, oh, you need to take out. To be fair, I feel like we also had that same vibe with Keaton the first season, and to a lesser extent, there's like a history in this series where like people with like actually like big reputations, at least like relative to their cast, like actually do very well. and find themselves in situations they should not have gotten themselves out of and just seem to do. I think that's just like a recurring theme with all three
Yeah.
winners, to be honest.
Well,
And
I feel like the
yeah.
difference is like in other 3 seasons we've had like less like newbie based
True.
casts, where I feel like this is like maybe a little heavier with that. So maybe it'll go the other way of being like, yeah, I've never played a game with Jen before, but like obviously she's the biggest threat.
Yeah.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
I was wondering about that too. Like if she's like not quiet about how many games she's played, then the new players might kind of get together themselves and be like, listen, she knows this world
Yeah.
that is new to us. We should
Yeah,
probably
there are those
care-
players like there's those players like, oh, you can't take a shot at them unless you know it's gonna hit. Someone could just be like, yeah, I'll
Yeah, you're not gonna have that
Yeah, I'll
like
do it.
conversation if it's your first game. Ask me how I know. You're just
right,
gonna
right.
nominate people from the alliance you don't know has formed.
Ta-da. Anyway,
Yeah.
no, excited to see the Gen play. And if I may do the transition, Jacob, from one player that we thought would never play Hypnotic, we go to another player that we also thought would never play Hypnotic. It's Jesse.
I'm sorry. I
The
always
wig.
knew Jesse was gonna play.
Yeah, but it took longer than it should have. Jen, I didn't think was ever gonna happen. Jesse, I was like, when is this going to happen, and why is it taking so?
We wanted Jesse to play since season 1. I feel like Jesse wanted to play since season 1, and now it's finally happening.
It's always been like with a lot of with the cast, because like we never wanted to put Jesse with like people like because we didn't want to cast like friend groups, you know. And,
Yeah.
we
limit
tried
that.
to limit that, and a lot of people who she's been friends with over the time have played, and now it's Jesse's time to shine, and I'm really excited for it.
This is gonna be really fun. I also just recently played Power Grab with Jesse, although I've played other games with Jesse, but the most recent, so I'm just basing my experience of that. I feel like Jesse is definitely much more of a quieter player in this cast, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because I feel like the perception of Jessie is she's quiet, but when she says something to you, or when you guys do have a conversation, like it's really important and it like really hits. Like for example, in the jury round table, I know this is like outside of the game, but I think it's still like somewhat important. In the jury round table, it consisted of me, Jackie, and another player that's actually coming up. Like we were like saying all the things, and then Keaton, who's hosting the round table, would be like, Jesse, what do you think about that? And then Jesse would say like one thing that was like maybe 5 seconds long, and we were all just like, you know what? So true.
People.
So I feel like the only thing that could really set Jesse back is if this is a really talk heavy and call heavy cast, but I feel like we said before that that's probably not where this cast is going to go towards. So I feel like we said with Caitlyn before, I feel like Jesse could slide under the radar and not really get on anyone's like have a big threat level until maybe it's too late. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I think Jesse's really good at like positioning
Mhm.
herself.
Yeah.
Because when we played Wheel, me and Jacob and Jesse were playing Wheel. Jesse kind of gunned for that first HOH. It was something where it was like you get people to vote you for HOH, and Jesse was very much like, yeah, I want this first HOH, I want to do this, and like when she wants to, she will gun for something, and I think it takes a lot to like position yourself, because she's not someone who's inactive. Like she's someone who, yes, she may be a quieter player, but she knows how to get people to trust her. She knows what she needs to do during certain times when she needs to.
Yeah. And she also said in her interview she consistently makes jury, which is always a good thing.
I have a hot take. Okay, not necessarily a hot take. I think like a lukewarm take of why I think this game's going to play out for Jessie. Because I do agree. I think she's really good at positioning. Obviously, she's a very lovely, lovely human,
Okay.
very sweet, and I think she's going to do very well socially, and just sort of sense that like a lot of people are going to like her. However, it's just a hunch. Like I think her and Caitlyn are going to be vying for that same type of position and type of reputation. I think she'll be the Jeff of the season. I think someone who's going to go very far, but I think is going to have no control, and I think is going to be on the block a lot.
You
From
think
like the sense of that, I think she's going to be on the block. I think she's going to be a pawn. I think we had Cody from last season. We had Jeff the season before, and I don't know why. I mean, to be fair, I see that from J1 potentially too, but I see that more so from Jessie,
Well,
with the reason being like, what's she gonna do about it? Because like other than person's like, cause like Jessie may not win that many challenges. Like,
You know what? I could totally see that actually. Just I was gonna say like I get this like very like natural confidence just off of their answers, and I think that that can unintentionally make like a very solid but not necessarily like crazy threatening player look
Mhm.
like a threat if they just seem confident in what they're doing a lot. It for some reason I've seen it a couple of times where it just sometimes will get them on the block a lot more often than not, or get them as up as a pawn a lot more often than not.
I
And
think
I will say really quick from the Jeff comparison, uh, I get it, but also I think Jeff's downfall was being too reluctant to like make the big moves. I feel like Jesse will make the move
yeah,
if the time comes.
the opportunity presents itself. Yeah,
Oh, I think Jesse doesn't give two shits about whether to make a move or not. Like Jesse,
just do it for fun.
I think because Jesse will do what she needs to. I don't think she's afraid to put people up.
If she's in an alliance chat, they'll be talking about whether or not this is the right time to make a move. And while they're talking, Jesse's already talking to everybody else about putting the move in motion.
Jesse's
do.
already moving.
Yeah, like Jesse, because like here's my thing, right? Because I think there's a lot of argumentative people on this cast. I think because like there's like a level of like I don't want to piss this person off. Like I do not want them to go to the jury and me potentially lose their jury vote. And I think people are gonna try to find like what are the easy outs? Who can we put up that just will not get super mad at us? We probably won't get a lot of blowback from it. I think a lot of people are gonna fall onto Jesse, and I am scared for her. Not in the sense that I think that she'll go home early. Because like you said, she consistently makes jury. And I've never seen her play a game where I feel like she's gone out early. I think the worst I've ever seen her do is be first juror. It's like I do have hopes for I do have expectations for her to go far. It's just a matter of just how treacherous it is along the way. That's a hot take. Like I said, I don't think that's a popular opinion. I don't think most people expect that from Jesse. But I think that that quietness, that timidity, or like passive nature may actually be detrimental to her in this cast.
Interesting. Well, we'll see how that ends up working out.
So now we move on to the next person who, if I'm not mistaken, these next two people, this is actually both of their first games. No, yeah, it
Yes.
is. So exciting. And I'm really excited for this next person
Mhm.
because I don't have that many friends like outside of the community who actually like these shows, but I got one of my friends from college to do this. Just Caden. So cool. Fucking love Caden.
You know what? I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. If Caleb is not my winner pick, then Caden is my winner pick.
You're not fucking
Hot take.
touching Caden.
Okay,
Fucking-
okay. So we have our winner picks. I'm Caleb. Jacob's Jen, and you're Caden.
I'm like between Caden and Dime. To
Okay.
be quite honest.
That's fair. That's fair.
So no. So Heather's is Dime because mine's is Caden. Caden's mine.
Okay, fine. No. So I think I was at least on for Caden's interview. I don't know if I actually did their interview. But like I think I said for somebody else before, just like very infectious personality. I left the conversation just feeling better about myself. um, and I feel like Hayden already has like the social aspect of the game like figured out, and especially because they already watch Big Brother, I'm sure they know like that the social game is like the biggest component to getting farther in the game, especially towards making alliances, and all of that. Um, in the question of like, would you bring your closest ally to the final two or someone that's easier to beat? They said that take the close ally because it's like from a moral standpoint that's good, but if the ally wouldn't take them, then they'd take the goat. So clearly thinking about the game like in like from multiple angles. I feel like the only thing that may be a bit uh of a hindrance to them is just figuring out like how orgs work, because maybe the idea of like talking to everyone like every single day might not seem like something that has to be done, but I'm hoping that after like a couple days like start to get in the groove, and then maybe hopefully start making like some big moves or something like that.
Yeah, like I mean, I think I get a lot of good vibes from them, and I love newbies. I do. I remember last season having very high hopes for Philly and Joanne, who had never played games before. One of them went further than the other. But like I love bringing new people to the community because whether or not like they go far or if they have a good experience or not, it's something that they at least tried. And it is a very fun community. Jacob is dying.
Jacob, we have tons of things to say about them later.
I also don't want to like keep this going for too long because we do still have like 4 people after Kaden. And it is midnight.
Almost
soon.
midnight, yeah.
It is almost.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so I think because how they spoke, they do clearly have a knowledge of what Big Brother is at least. We'll see what they think they're getting into because this community can be draining socially, mentally, not
Physically,
physically, but
spiritually.
yeah, it can be draining at times. So it's like I do hope that they're able to kind of like navigate that, and having that knowledge of Big Brother is definitely a plus side to that. And I just have high hopes for them, you know.
Yeah, they got good vibes. I think I get the feeling that we'll see some like more pure strategy from them, if that makes sense. If they're a fan of Big Brother, like for real Big Brother, and this is the first org they're playing, I think it'd be kind of cool if we see some like pure like game employed by them. I could kind of see that. You know what I mean? Like a pure strategic kind of energy without realizing it.
Oh, I just realized their favorite player they said was Josh Martinez, which is
Okay.
which is a choice.
Which is a choice.
They don't like Christmas, so that's good.
Or Nicole
They don't like
Franzel.
The
felons.
holiday.
They don't like
there's a
felons. Is
play-
good.
Liz, I'll send you a breakdown
Yeah,
of these players later.
you understand why it's a choice. But
I
no,
In any of this.
so
They have a
Kaden-
leg up on me. They're gonna end up like I'm excited for them because I came in completely blind to Big Brother as a concept. So I'm excited for them for having that edge.
and there's someone here who's also just kind of going in blind, at least from my understanding of them. But we'll get to them in just a moment. But Kaden, I adore, one of my favorite people on the planet. I forgot how this came up. I think we both just randomly. I think I was checking like live feeds or something, like live feed updates, and they was like, live feeds? You watch Big Brother? And it just went off from there.
Nice.
Kaden, I have a lot of high hopes for. So not even just for the fact that like they're a friend of mine outside of this, and it's not just an Orger that I get along with and like. It's a friend of mine I hang out with and see. I was supposed to hang out with them the day after the premiere, but I can't because I work that night, so I'm sad.
Aw.
But as far as Caden's potential in the game, I actually agree with Liz's assessment here too. I think that we're gonna get a lot of pure strategy from Caden, a lot of wanting to, like, seeing these great moves pulled off on the show, and Caden as a fan wanting to replicate them and wanting to see like, well, this worked for this player and this person did really well, so I kind of want to use that trick. But I think the issue is, of course, obviously this is their first game ever. So yeah, like while watching the show, may say you could have done this, you could have done this, you could have done this. That's with a lot of context or more context than the players actually have in these situations. And so seeing them really put their Big Brother knowledge and their instincts to practice will be very interesting. I think it takes a lot of games for you to kind of like pick it up and understand exactly how to play with certain people. And I just think that's a disadvantage that Kane's naturally going to come into this game with. With that being said, this is the person I was mentioning. Is like, I want to go far, but practically speaking, it's very difficult to have as a winner pick due to that lack of experience. But although I do think that this is going to be a very newbie friendly cast, I remember being concerned about Joanne, and I forgot about Philly. That's why I was dying earlier. I was like, Philly was a rookie, technically. About like how willing they would be to give them a chance, which they didn't really give Philly a chance, but like that's whatever. But I genuinely think Caden is going to go far. It's just a matter of how far and if they would be able to win at the end. Because I know them at Psych Major, so clearly very intelligent and very in tune with reading people and understanding what people may be coming from, why people may be acting a certain different way. I think they're hyper intelligent, but we'll see if they will be able to like downplay it, if you will.
Oh, so they were in your major.
Yeah, that's how we met. In the worst class ever made in history, Psych 393, research methods.
Hey, yeah.
Oh, fuck research methods. as the other psych major prod.
Nice. Yeah, should be fun. And from one person who's never played a game
IRL.
before.
To another.
we're gonna go to another
And if
person.
Liz has nothing to say about this person, I'm very concerned.
Liz will be
About Caden or
Liz will have
about
everything to say.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait. Where'd the
Oh no.
Oh, you gotta wait, hold on, reload.
Are you serious? Are you okay,
It's
fine.
there.
Is there? Whatever. Let me.
the Alex jump scare while we're fixing it.
There it is.
Boom.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know.
Someone hasn't sent in a photo.
Whoops.
Because someone didn't send in their photo, Caitlin. So yeah. So
How do you know this person?
I changed their diapers. So
How,
this is my
diapers means plural, so like it's not just like a one-time thing.
diapers. Yeah.
Like hold on.
You were changing diapers at like what, 6?
5.
Yeah,
This is my 18-year-old sister. I am 25. I'll let everyone do the time math real fast for how
Second.
long you think a child is in diapers.
Okay, point still stands. Anyway.
So basically, there was a video of our interview that got royally destroyed by my video recording software. So it had
Yay.
no audio and just pure facial expressions. Luckily I took notes, so hopefully those came through. So she's never played one of these games before. She kind of is doing it on a bit of a whim, and knowing her as well as I do, I have a lot of faith that she will add a very chaotic element to this game. She explicitly said that she wants to kind of like start drama and see what happens. So she really is, she's intentionally trying to be a villain without really, having done an org or played with a villain before. So I think that'll be interesting. She's in life a lot more socially apt than I am. So she listed herself as a very strong player socially, and I could see that easily. She's the one out of the three of us, me and my other sister, who will just approach people to ask questions unprompted and just make friends out on the street while me and Allie stand in the background and hiss. That's
Nice.
Kate. Kat. Yeah, she. Yeah, I could see her getting surprisingly strategic about it, I think, is my assessment. Because she's listed herself as a strong social player, but I think she has a lot more like she's going into aerospace engineering, so she's got that, analyst part of her.
Mm.
So I could see her unintentionally or maybe intentionally ending up in like a little bit of a strategic situation. Or she could just run around and start shit effectively. It really could go either way depending on how long she feels like hanging out for in the game. Um,
Well, she said she's playing for the chance to manipulate people online.
exactly.
So
Yeah. So depending on how much fun she has manipulating people online, she could not to toot her horn as her sister, but I think that it'll almost be up to her when she gets booted in a way. Because like she decides when she's done with an argument based on how she proceeds with the argument. I feel like she could decide when she's done with the game based on how she proceeds with the game. Like she'll be cruising one week and then be like, all right, I'm sick of this, and just get herself nominated by starting nonsense drama and be out.
Oh, no.
So that's her. And she had no org experience to speak of. So when I asked her about like, she talks about social manipulation and stuff. Does she have anything to back that up? She referenced Among Us. So
Hell yeah.
hell yeah.
Well, to be fair, that's how I introduced Jackie to Big Brother. It was kind of like inadvertently throw Among Us. I was like, you know how you lie in that game? Here's another game where you're lying, but no.
You know
Don't want to
Amogus?
lie
Yo,
more.
Among Us. I'll do mine next because I have to step away real quick. But I'm very excited to see another rookie in our midst. It's kind of weird because it sounds like all the things Liz like refused to do and was like repulsed of the thought of other people liking to do. I just remember Morgan and Benji being revealed to Val 2. It's like I hate both of them actually, because how could you like lie and manipulate and like backstab and deceive and like throw people under
Yeah.
the bus and like be so happy and like boasting. I'm like proud about it. And like
Lose your
what
morale.
sounds like to me is like all the things that Liz detested from her last season. So I think that's actually very fun to see.
Yeah, we co-evolved in the same environment. I took the trait wand and vice versa.
Hell
Y'all both experienced the same things, but just interpreted them in different ways. Like someone yelled at you, like Kat would say, "Oh, that's a challenge." Got it, understood. It's like so, Kat. I think it's going to be very fun to see play. Although I will say, obviously propping up is like I'm going to be a villain. I'm going to be diabolical. I'm going to do all these things. You know, like I kind of need to see it to believe it. I don't know if she's kind of like just tuning her own horn just to kind of like play up to, oh, that's what this game's all about. So let me just, that's what I'm about. Liar, backstabber's my middle name. Like, but
right.
I think that's completely fair.
that's like it's like a dream. You get someone like that who is so into the treachery of the game. And like, I guess Morgan was kind of like that last season. So I kind of hope that we can really see at work and doing well. We'll see. I gotta warm up a baby bottle, but while I do that, y'all talk about these beautiful people.
Well, one thing I will say is because in our cast assessment last season, we somehow clocked one of the biggest duos of the season in Joanne and Juan.
And also in
That was prophetic. I thought that
And also in Cody and Chris. So we have a reputation for picking out duos. And I'm gonna say, just based on the little I know, I guess this is assuming Kat, like you said, doesn't vote herself out of the game. I feel like Kat is gonna make a duo with either Jen or with David.
I could see that. I could
That's
see
my
it with
prediction.
David actually.
I could see Jen as like the person like, oh, I can trust her like perfectly, and I'm gonna manipulate her like as much
Yeah.
as I can. I don't know how much that's gonna work, but like so. And then I could see like her teaming up with David as like the two people that'll just be the chaos.
Yeah. I could totally see her linking up with David. Almost like because she's got to put her money where her mouse is, or where her mouth is. But I could see David kind of being a good like duo pair for her to help her do that, if that makes sense. You know, she's got to bounce her ideas off of somebody before she goes through with them, usually, having been the person to bounce them off of in real life and resulted in stories. So I could see David kind of serving that purpose for her, weirdly enough. I don't know about Jen. I could see it. I think that she'll try to manipulate Jen, potentially unsuccessfully, depending on how much Jen reveals about her experience in orgs. Yeah.
Well, either they oh no, either they become a duo, or one of them is the other person's downfall.
Yeah, they either become a duo or one of them kills the other. I see that.
Right. Either besties or sworn enemies.
or adversaries.
Yeah.
Nemesis.
I mean, I don't know how she's gonna be. I am a little bit worried about activity levels. I feel like mainly because as I was praising people before about getting their shit in, Kat has not got her shit in, so that does worry me a little bit for the activity aspect, and also just because she did get go through a big milestone in life, so
Congrats on the graduation.
yeah. So she could, because this is starting so soon after, it might be like kind of like that period of time right after that happens where like it's not as active, at least in the sense of being online for things. If she has anything else still going on, like any after kind of things, because I know some people have those graduation parties after the fact. I don't know if that's gonna be like something that comes into play.
True.
So we will definitely see. Hopefully she does become active like once the game does start and everything, and once everything's kind of happening. Because I think with this season, I think we are going to need a villain. So like we if she's able to be that and able to manipulate people how she wants to, that's I think something that we would definitely need in the game.
I think we have definite potentials for a villain. I think she's one of them.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, I definitely hope that she gets her act together and gets her stuff in. I've been harassing her for the last like couple of business days to like get. I was like, Caitlin Nicole, it is like 2 little submissions. Come on. I did one of them for you in the future.
All right. We don't have
Oh,
to
last thing. Sorry, last thought. She did just direct run kind of a game of Water Wars, and she was complaining about it, and it sounded a lot about like prod stuff. So there's a chance that might translate, and her strategies with like manipulating her Water Wars players.
I could see it.
Yeah, that's it.
We have 3 more people.
Hooray!
And I want to go to bed. So
real. Let's go over this next person who probably goes to bed at like 9 p.m. Look at us staying up till midnight. Us young whippersnappers. It's timeless Mike Jones.
I mean, all right. So here's the deal. You know how like we were all having our like winner picks, first boot. No, I'm kidding.
No, the reason
winner pick
is because the intro video is
just Seb
introducing Mike, who never comes on the video. We never got another video, so that's kind of what it is.
Which honestly, kind of a baller move. Like having your own intro video. Like I respect it.
I will say,
in a mostly newbie season, no one's gonna know who that is.
That's a weird part of that.
Like, who is this guy?
And especially because it mentions distortion like 4 to 5 times. Which also, for that point, because Mike is not in the intro video at all, I did name the intro video Mike with a question mark intro video.
Mike? Intro video.
Mike, is that you?
Maybe.
Just like everyone else is just their name, but because it's not Mike in the video, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to make this one a little different. So.
Okay. Now we gotta talk about Mike's game and stuff. No. Okay. No. I love Mike. I've played a couple games with him before. and my experience with him in those games has always been pretty positive. And he was our first player to apply for this game, so we do really appreciate that. And I believe that he's probably one of the most excited people on this cast to play. Um, when it comes to the actual game, I think Mike does two things really well. I think he positions himself really well, and I think he's able to get far in the game with paths that would allow him to win. Because in both games I've played, he's placed fifth, and in both games there was absolutely a way that he could have won if just like one thing that was out of his control happened differently. So I do think he'll be really well at finding the people that he needs to get far with and then making that happen. I think one thing that could be a bit of a detriment to his game is I feel like Mike can sometimes get a little stuck in his ways, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but in certain situations where I think you need to be more like go with the flow as far as like what the house is saying, that it could cause a little trouble. Like maybe there'll be a situation of like he's he's like actively like rooting for one person to get the boot, but the house is saying the other person should get the boot, and that kind of puts him in a bad spot. But I'm not even too worried that that's like going to happen. I think um, it'll be in a weird circumstance if that does happen. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see Mike play. I think he'll do some damage, especially because he has a couple of connections. He does have two power grab connections in Jesse, who was his duo partner because it was a duo game, and Cody, who he vehemently tried to get out of the game. So we'll see what happens there.
This is who I was mentioning when I said, "Oh, J1's rival," because
Oh no,
like,
no.
because like I don't know if that's necessarily his rival. I just think that they were. Mike gets under the impression that J1 hates him, and we'll see how accurate that is. You know, in game, if like J1's like, "Oh, this month," you know, Mike, you know, I've gotten a lot closer to after my season of Kaleidoscope. We weren't particularly on the same page that often. He started off on his OG tribe, I started on mine. You know, not to say that we didn't try to build that bridge, but we kind of, well, mostly me, kind of already had my mind made up with who I needed to work with to get to the end. Mike has gotten very far, but kind of keeps getting cut right at the end because he got fifth in both of those games, which one of those games was a Final Four. So he was literally the final juror, just one tribal council, and he's in the FTC and has at least a chance to plead his case. To where I heard he had like a decent chance of winning that game. Power grab, I'm not entirely sure of his win equity, but that was a final two. He made final four in my season of Kaleidoscope, but
Distortion, he probably would have barely won. Power grab, there were ways to do it. It was just very
yeah,
complicated.
it was really weird. It's like, yeah, I do think that he's really strong in both of those aspects. I'm actually a bit curious about Mike because I put him high in my estimation just for how quickly, after just coming into community, he's kind of come into his own, found his strength, kind of found his role in most of these games. Because we talked about how, oh, this person may kind of be like the calm person of the group where everyone's gunning for each other. They're kind of like laying back, but like Mike has like mastered that strategy to a T, to where like no one really either like wants to do it because they like Mike, but also feels like it doesn't make sense or benefits them particularly to do it when it would. And taking him out would be a big game changing move. It kind of like opens the game up. But I do feel like there's like a little bias on my end, like a negative bias, because I just know how unhinged and like petty he is. So like a part of me is like, oh, that's gonna come out in the game. But, like he doesn't really seem to take it out like on other players. Like it kind of keeps it as project or like his friends or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was interested to see how Mike plays this game because he doesn't really know Big Brother like that. He's this humongous, huge Survivor fan. Like international seasons he's watched and huge fan of the challenge. Not really Big Brother. So I really do. I am actually really appreciative that he is one of the more excited people to play because this is really his first serious exposure to Big Brother. And I don't know how much, we mentioned Seth, like how much he's exposing him to Big Brother and like having him really do studying. I know Caleb has done a lot of studying, but is Mike really doing the same thing? I think he should be. But we'll see. I have faith that he'll go far. It's just a matter of how far.
Yeah. No, I think so too.
I will say I feel like what could possibly be a little bit of a downfall, especially for people who might not know Mike as much. Which like I don't know Mike as much, but I know I did Mike's interview, which I think everyone was on for. I think I just ran it. For people who like don't know Mike, sometimes things Mike says can come off as very like dry and serious, even when it's a joke. So like he can say something as a joke, but someone might take it literally and kind of run with it.
Yeah.
And that's something that I do kind of feel like is a thing, because at least even in text, like now I'm kind of starting to expect that anytime he like messages in the prod chat that it's going to be something funny. But the other day he almost made me like shit my pants because he was like, so I've got some bad news, and then just didn't say anything for a few minutes. I was like, I am going to cry if like anything happens. And it's like, but y'all are stuck with me, and I'm just like, okay.
I'm like, sir.
If this
Fuck
happens
you.
to like other people, like it's like
Yeah, he's a troll. He's a humongous troll.
he's a
So like,
troll, and we love it, but I think some people might not, if that makes sense.
Mike is the shit stir that David and Kat will try to get out, not realizing that they're also the shit stirrers.
Yeah.
It's a different league. But we love him for it. No, he's very funny. And if there is people on this cast that do appreciate that kind of humor, then like he'll be fine. I feel like I feel like there's a potential for that.
I do say though that there is a couple. I know I mentioned J1. There's Cody here. There's someone else that we're gonna be talking about in a moment that played with him in Timeline of Terror. That, well, like Mike was like, I don't think they specifically are mad at me particularly, but like I don't know. Jesse, I know voted for Mike at some point during Power Grab, despite literally being his partner. Um, I do think that there are going to be a couple people. I kind of want to see how Mike handles adversity, because like apparently in Power Grab he was playing blatantly from the bottom for a good chunk of the second half of the game and didn't really do that well from that position. Kind of was like, well, fuck it, we ball. I mean, if I go home, I'm gonna go out swinging. Like not in the sense of let me try to get back in the game. Not that type of philosophy. So I do think that there's a couple people who may want to gun for him early. It's really just a matter of like how well Mike is able to handle that.
Yeah.
I think that's really going to be, if we do see a sign of like how he will handle adversity. I do see him kind of latching on to these people, like like the Cody, the J1s, and them. Like, look, hey, they fucked me over in another game, so if I'm in power, my targets, like kind of playing into that to get in good with some people. Like, hey, if it were up to me, 5 of these people would be gone. We'd be in jury right now. So like, I could see him potentially pulling that out, but we'll see. I'll shut it because people like sleep.
Right. Yeah. Okay. We have 2 more players, which is fascinating because everyone else was in the first half of the alphabet.
Yeah.
It's the only 2 in the second half.
Which it's funny that they're both here. I honestly, I think it's very funny.
They're both right next to each other. Yeah.
I think it's very funny.
Yeah.
First off, another person, they didn't think we could do it. I didn't think we could do it. Still don't know how we got Tawny. I'm so shocked. Still, like, she came to me. I didn't even need to ask her to play. Like, she was like, "Hi, Key. I want to play Hypnotic like a little bit," and I leave it. No, because like she was like, she kind of mentioned it offhand, like a list of other things, like, "Oh, I'm doing good. Work is treating me well. I'm talking to this guy, got my hair done. A part of me wants to play Hypnotic, kind of like in that type of sense. Just randomly brought this up, like, wait, stop, hold the fucking phone. You want to play Hypnotic? I'm very excited to see Tawny play because I have not hosted her. I've hosted with her. Me and her kind of close buddy in Spellbound, actually, which actually premiered, I think, before Hypnotic. Although Hypnotic started planning first. So I've followed very closely with games that she's played since then, although she hasn't played all that many. I know that she made it to Final 2 in Wheel. I think Tawny, I think is a mixed bag of a player. I think someone who is a very loyal player, kind of like if she can't win, let me help my closest ally win, because that person is just as good of an outcome for me as me myself winning. I do think that she has a good sociability to her. I think it's very weird because I see her make it very far in these games, but like the impression of Tawny is that she's kind of spiteful, is that like she tends to hold grudges for extended periods of time, and there's no reconciling with her when you wrong her in some type of way. Like, I remember I walked from a game that we played together, and she still reminds me of this, like, oh, you abandoned me in that game. Like, so I kind of want to see how Tawny plays with all these people who I think are very, argumentative. I think are going to be very messy players, are very loose with information. I kind of want to see how Tawny handles this type of environment. I think she could potentially thrive because Tawny is someone who seeks, who fishes out that information, like who kind of wants to know all of what's going on, the current ongoings of the game. Will make an active effort to make sure that she's well informed.
Yeah.
So I think if there's anybody who's going to have a survey of the land to be able to make the right move or to have the best read, I do think it's Tawny.
Well, so my questionable read on Tawny, and I know you were mentioning this too, is that she in her interview she described herself as an NPC, which is a fascinating way to describe yourself, and and also in the same breath called herself a villain. So that might be like feeding into what you were saying before of like get people to trust her. They go out, get the info, bring it back to her, and then she like makes a decision based on that. I will say, like, if you make the time, it is very easy to talk to Tawny. I think there was like in the one game we played where like I was on the block, I like called her to just like campaign to her, and we ended up just like talking for 2 hours about just like nothing until at the very end I was like, oh right, I forgot. Keep me, thanks. So yeah, I think Tawny's easy to talk to when you talk to her. I don't know how much like big move-itis Tawny is gonna have, but maybe in a cast like this where there's certain players but that might have big move-itis, that might be a good thing for Tawny, and I don't necessarily seeing it backfire. Yeah, that's just my take on how I think she'll fit in this cast.
Like, high key, I see her as she's like a dark horse for me. Because like I don't think she has won a game, but like I also imagine to myself, like, how do these two people interact? How will these two people interact? I see like a lot of people I could think of. I'm like, I think Jen will link up with Tawny. I think Mike will. I think Caden will. I think Caleb will. And I think those are a lot of our like big front runners, like people like we have very high expectations for. And I see the next person too begrudgingly doing this. Well, I think it'd be funny if they were gunning for each other, but I think it'd be cute if they worked together.
Yeah.
I just see a lot of people like being drawn to Tawny's energy. I wouldn't be shocked if Kat saw Tawny as her comrade in her duplicity, like maybe.
You know what? I could see that.
Yeah.
I just see a lot of people like, she's a badass bitch, and I gotta work with her. Like that's kind of the vibe that I get.
Oh my gosh. No, I get it. I get it.
She
I'm
told
excited.
me to call her that, so yeah.
I'm
Anything else?
excited because she was in my prod chat, and now I get to be in her prod chat, and I just think that's nice.
Oh, that's fun.
She was in your prod chat.
Yeah, she was on the call that one time.
That's fun. That's nice.
Yeah, she was actually she was on the call. Yeah, I do remember that. Okay. Because she was like, I can give my unbiased view of this and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, like I do worry because like being a self-proclaimed NPC is a little scary for me. Um, I feel like that's like where I'm a little bit cautious with Tawny, just because like I don't know how that's going to translate to gameplay. I've only ever actually been hosted by Tawny. I've never played a game with Tawny or seen her play, so it's going to be interesting to kind of get that perspective now from that. I'm not entirely sure what I expect at this moment. I think with the person who is coming next, having that person here is going to either make or break her game, I feel. And I kind of feel like it might go more towards break, but we have had duos in our past seasons who are very close, like previously. I mean, our final two from last season, Liz and Chris knew each other and they got pretty far at least together. Then there was
Minor and Nick.
Minor and Nick got to final two together. So essentially, it could be a good thing. Like Hypnotic has had a history of duos going pretty far. I don't know how that's going to happen with this one. And I don't know if they're going to necessarily play together just because they do know each other in real life. But I also think we'll get to that with the next person as well. So
Talking that more in depth.
I don't know if this is spoiling Alex on Big Brother stuff. So Alex, cover your ears, please.
For Big Brother stuff.
For Big Brother stuff.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, fine. So I see Tawny this next person to be like a June Allison situation. Like they don't. I think they will work together against like their wit. Like it's like, oh, I have to work with you now. Like kind of like recognize that they kind of both genuinely benefit each other's games. That's kind of what I am expecting. They're adversaries at the beginning of the game, maybe like high-key talking shit about each other because it'd be funny, you know, like and adversarial at first, but they kind of both realize we could benefit from working together. Like legitimately, let's actually give it a shot and may work to their advantage.
Yeah. And who is that person?
With that person that we're talking about, I wonder who. We got Tawny, and we have someone I think Tawny brought into the community. We got Vicky, our last player.
Whoa!
It's our 16th player on this season.
I will say though, I'm on record that this is not the reason we moved to Discord, but I do remember when the apps were first on Skype. That if I said, well, if we moved to Discord, would you apply? She said yes. And then the next day we moved to Discord.
Yeah. This is not to say that getting Vicky on the cast is the reason we moved to Discord. But we will say that if we were still on Skype, we would not have gotten Vicky on this cast.
So yeah.
And that being said, no, I love Vicky. I'm really excited that she is on the cast as well. I played with her before, and we were like basically final two in that game.
On your end, as far as I remember.
I don't know.
Vicky's final two is herself, and only herself.
Yeah.
Her plan was to get me to a certain point, and then I comp beasted my way past that point, and she had no choice. No, but okay. No, I'm really excited to see her play. I know that Vicky played a lot, and won a lot, like maybe a year and a half ago. She took a break, and now she's like back back in the community. The one thing I will say is that I think Vicky has this interesting combo about her game, which is that she can simultaneously make you feel like she is your best friend, but then also call things out when they happen and not BS about like what just happened. Like we always worry that like the season's gonna be boring with like the house always voting always voting unanimously. I feel like if there's ever gonna be like a 10-1 vote or an 11-1 vote, Vicky's gonna be the one just because she fully disagrees on what is going on and is like, no, I'm not gonna vote with the house. That's stupid. um no, but that being said, I do think Vicky has a good chance uh of making it far in this game, if she can connect with the right people, because I know she's good at making people that she's working with um feel like she's loyal to them and she'll do things in their best interest, even though they might not actually be like that. um but yeah, I'm excited. I hope she calls people out. I think that would be very fun if she does.
From what I've seen of Vicky, I think I've talked to people about her, like, because I've never been in a game with her. I don't think, but I remember talking to someone about Vicky at one point, being like, there is nobody in this community who can play the middle like Vicky does.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is kind of like her specialty, is playing the middle. And for some reason, people never compare notes about Vicky. And like until it's too late, because then she like gets to the end. I don't think I've ever really seen her get out early. I think there might have been like 1 or 2 seasons of something that like she got out like early, but early is in early merge or early jury. So it's like she consistently gets far because of how she plays these games. And like people are kind of like astounded because like she was playing this way since like her first game, which I think you played her first game, if I'm not mistaken.
Did I?
I want to say it was like EXP or something.
It was EXP.
I think it was EXP.
Yeah, and she was very like confrontational in that game, and like our first call was like, so who are you working with in this game? Which I feel like she doesn't do that as much, but she still has like the like I'm gonna call things out as they happen sort of vibe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I adore Vicky, like with like every fiber of my being. She was my host favorite in Kaleidoscope for a good reason.
Bless.
She was very entertaining to watch. Like she was, because obviously someone with great strategic ideas, but kind of comes off in a way where like it's very entertaining to watch. Because there's some game bots out there that like technically have a lot of skill, but like I have no fun listening to like DRs or like confessionals that they have because it's just them just spilling out strategic.
I know you're
nonsense.
talking about me. It's okay.
I get that's why I wanted to work with you, but you didn't want to work with me because you don't like fun people, Alex. Anyways, but no, but Vicky just has a lot of charisma about her. Like I just think that's like you get on a call with Vicky, you share a bunch of laps, you just have a great time. You have a blast when you talk to Vicky. And had it not been for her OG tribe just being decimated, I think that game plays out very differently and in a way to where I see Vicky a very likely winner of that game.
Mhm.
So my one experience from hosting her, she showed a lot of promise, and there's a couple people here who I believe will go far, but I could see something disastrous go wrong to where they can go home early. Unless Vicky's just super inactive, I don't know how she gets taken out early. Like I think if she's putting in a earnest effort to socialize, to put herself in a good position, I think she will find herself in that position and go the distance. But again, like I do remember the last Big Brother game I know she played was Deception. Either that or Wheel, and I just got the vibe that she
Yeah.
wasn't really giving it her all in either of those games.
Yeah, the All Stars game. From what I understand, I think she was like in the middle of things
Yeah.
during that game. Because like I've seen her, I like in playing in Deception, and she was like, not Deception, Distortion, and that was really fun. But she has proven that she has the ability to win, a Big Brother game as well as a Survivor game. So she can pull out the stops whenever she needs to.
Yeah, she's been in a lot of Final Twos. You know, I mean, Final Two in EXP,
Oh yeah.
Final Two in Wheel, Final Two in CTC, Final Two in Power Grab. You know, we talked about how impressive it was that Cody made it to Final Three. You know, Vicky made it far both times that she played that game. So, you know, I do really think that it's weird that we're using Power Grab as a metric to how well you'll do in Big Brother, but I think that's a very hard game to like do well in, and she did well twice. So I have high hopes for Vicky. Um, the question will be if people would let her slip by. Like I know we talked about Jen being like, "Oh, there's someone you need to take out." I think Vicky is that to another tier above that. I think if someone is just gonna be like, well, I mean, we can't take Vicky to the end. She's gonna win. I think she just. I
Yeah.
think she'll go on a call. She'll be an episode quote machine.
Yes.
But I think everyone's gonna know that she's doing well. I think maybe you're right, and no one's gonna be comparing notes about her. But I think with this cast, it will be. I think her game will be undone quicker here, if it is undone and unraveled quicker here than in most other casts that she plays in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Wow, I've been negative this cast assessment. Gee.
Yeah, seriously. I'm trying to like keep things positive. Liz, do you have any final thoughts on Vicky before we
Good vibes.
Good vibes.
Good guy.
Jacob's the negative one?
No, because there's so much. No, because all y'all are like heroes, and like ever since
Good
Zach
vibe.
left, I'm like, gotta compensate with it with villainous, all this heroic kindness. It's disgusting. It's gross. It's inauthentic.
Fine with
Uh,
villain.
Stop, Heather. Stop. You
All
are
right,
here.
so clearly this prod team has some arguments that need to happen off camera, but for those watching,
We filmed them in a separate video.
for those watching, thank you for making it to the end of this cast assessment. We shall see how much of this is correct throughout the season. And
Oh, there it is.
and Hypnotic.
That
Yeah.
We'll see you later.